Hello everyone, today we'll be reviewing a 1990 Model M terminal keyboard made by IBM in the December of 1990. As the name implies, this keyboard was designed for use with IBM terminals during the time it was manufactured, and as such has many differences from your standard 101 or 102 key layout. For starters, the interface. This keyboard does not use a DIN connector, a PS2 connector, or a USB plug. Instead it uses a RJ45 connector that needs to be converted in order to be used on a modern PC. For that, I have a Soros converter made by Ori Halcon on eBay. More on that later. The next thing giving this keyboard away as one for terminal use is the 122 key layout featuring a cross nav cluster and 24 F keys. Besides these extra keys, there are many others that have different functions or legends than what you would be used to seeing, such as reset quit, enter in the bottom right, or the big field exit key where the enter key would normally be. Though this layout might look quite funky, and indeed it would be were it not for the converter, it really isn't that bad. Thanks to the Soros converter, I can remap any of these odd keys to do something more useful. For example, the F keys. I have them mapped to multimedia keys, and it adds some extra needed keys, such as the missing Windows key, an escape key in a more sensible place, and some macros I have built in, like Shift Tab for the Steam overlay. This makes the keyboard just as usable, and sometimes more so for me, than a traditional 101 or 102 key layout. Now, for those of you that know about Model M's already, you most likely already know about the unmatched build quality of them, and even the earlier Model F's, which are built better. For those that don't, let me give you a rundown. My Model M weighs in almost 6 pounds, which is 2 pounds heavier than my K70. The case is thick plastic, not ABS like other keyboards of its era, but PVC. It's incredibly sturdy and does not yellow over time. The keycaps are thick PBT with die-sublimated legends. On my particular keyboard, the keycaps are two-piece with an outer and inner keycap. Some models will have one-piece keycaps, but they're still just as thick. These are some of the best quality OEM keycaps out there. They do not yellow with age, and the lettering has remained razor sharp over the age of the keyboard. The switches are mounted to a metal plate, giving the keyboard very strong rigidity. The two weaknesses of the Model M are as follows: liquid and plastic rivets. I'll start with the rivets. They are the more common issue. The Model M is held together like a sandwich, the switches being the top, membrane in the middle, and a metal plate on the bottom. This is all held together using cheap, weak plastic rivets that weaken over time and eventually snap off. When this happens, you'll start to lose tactility and the keys will fail to respond. This actually happened to a keyboard I found at a thrift store, and this video will demonstrate. So this is the keyboard that has rivets broken off behind it, and it's lost its tactility on the left side, but not the right. And you can hear the difference. None of these keys click, and the majority of them don't even activate. This one, it's barely even on the keyboard. The way to fix or prevent this is to do a bolt mod, replacing the cheap rivets with screws or metal rivets. Now, the Model M is a membrane keyboard, meaning that switches actuate by making connection on a soft membrane rather than a rigid PCB. This is not the same as a rubber dome. That is a totally separate mechanism. This membrane is very sensitive to water, and if any gets in, you're fucked. Like, totally fucked. Like, you have to pop all the rivets off, do a full disassembly, and hope it works after you bolt mod it. Fucked. Now, onto the main event, switches. This is my first functional keyboard with IBM's buckling spring switch, and I have to say it's absolutely amazing. The keys have a crisp, clean break at the tactile bump that feels like you're popping bubble wrap under every key. It's hard to describe, but Cherry MX Blues just don't have the same pop. The switches give the keys a click, but again, not like that of Cherry MX Blues. They are beefier, metallic instead of plastic, and give off a much different noise than those of the Cherry MX Blues. The keycap and frame of the keyboard helps to make the keys feel more like thuds and a lot deeper than Cherry MX's high-pitched clicks and clacks. There's also something really charming to me about the ping the springs give off. It's very mechanical feeling. Most buckling springs have a weight of about 70 grams, far heavier than most switches, including that of Cherry MX Black and definitely Cherry MX Blues like I have. The closest modern switch to them that I saw is Cherry MX Greens, which are weighted at 75 grams. This weight took some getting used to, but I type more accurately and faster on the heavy switches than I did on my K70. This keyboard does have 2-key rollover, but like I addressed in a previous video, it's not the entire keyboard. I've never had like when I was playing games, I never had the keyboard not accept an input. Again, like the cluster that you normally use to play games on is closer to 5 or 6 key rollover instead of 2 key rollover. I play games like Destiny 2, Quake, CSGO, Unreal Tournament, and a lot of these games require multiple simultaneous inputs, like holding shift while running, to run, and reloading, and it was never an issue. The bigger issue for games, as somebody pointed out on my Reddit post, is the hysteresis of the Switch, meaning that it doesn't reset at the same point it actuates. It makes double tapping and faster clicking way more difficult than a linear Switch. I noticed this while strafing in CSGO or Quake. You have to do it a lot slower, or even while spamming keys in League. It's definitely noticeable. It's not a deal breaker for me, but for some it might be. This keyboard definitely gets a recommendation from me for both typing and for gaming. The key fill-in sounds like nothing else I have ever used, and the extra keys on my terminal model, in conjunction with the programmability given into it by the Soros converter, make it excellent for modern day use. For the price, I truly think this is the best keyboard you can buy. Just be sure to get one that is tested and works, which because of the exotic connector is harder than you might think. If you want a keyboard that will last you, you cannot go wrong with the Model M, terminal or otherwise. I want to mention that Unicomp also makes a 122 key version with buckling springs, and it does come with USB and a Windows key. I cannot, however, make any claims or vouch for it, as I've never used it. Thank you for watching.